Happy Sunday, lovely humans. I've had a really weird, 24 hours in the best way. It's not bad. I'll start with today and how I'm still dressed for the gym. I did a home workout this morning. I did show up to the gym, which was closed. So I got out of bed, wiped the crusties out of my eyeballs, and was like, yeah, I'm going to get to the gym on this Sunday morning and feel really great for the rest of the day. And I found a friend in the parking lot and I was like, is it even open? Both of us were like, nope, nope, it's done. And so I had to pivot. And it was very, very depressing. I was like really in it. And now I guess I'm going to mow my lawn because, fun fact about my yard, I have natural growing bamboo and it is currently taking over tremendously. It is also really nice out right now, but insanely windy, and I hate the wind as an element in comparison to many of the other ones, although I think snow was my number one worst enemy. So, strange happenings today. I'm also really trying to not bother my neighbors, but everybody's outside, so I might have to move to the front porch so that folks can live their best life today. Thanks for bearing with the weird filming. And we're back. Welcome to my office where I make the magic happen for my day job, but I tend to not want to spend my weekends in this room, but alas, my lovely neighbor next door started hosing off his porch, my other neighbors outside, and out of respect for people in close proximity to me, I don't think they're very interested in hearing me talk about the things that I'm going to be talking about today. So, welcome to my office. Um, Going back to the oddities of this weekend in the best way. Yesterday was like one of the first days that I opened my eyes and didn't have anything on my to-do list whatsoever. I had no responsibilities either. Miss Puddles is spending the weekend at her dad's, meeting her grandparents. So like I don't even have dog mom duties right now. So I woke up and I went to the gym yesterday and had a great workout. Came back here, and my poor parents just returned from a trip seeing my brother across the world and came back quite sick from the plane ride. So I was just like, I have to grocery shop today. Like, I'm going to build them a little care package, and I have nothing better to do. My parents live about an hour away from me. So I had this grandiose plan because I'm in the middle of a book I'm really enjoying too, where I was going to drop off a little care package on their porch and just wave goodbye. And there's a lovely restaurant, brewery close to there. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to sit outside by the beautiful lake and take in the beautiful spring day and read my book with a lovely little bar beverage because I got nothing else to do today. And lo and behold, I show up to this place and I see a CRV and I'm like, I know that license plate. There is no way this is happening right now. And I found my sister and my brother-in-law in the wild and got to hang out with them. But there's another layer here. I walked in and I actually saw an online friend, Alex, in the flesh sitting there. And I was just like, oh my God, you're a real person. Thank you so much for being my most active YouTube commenter. So shout out to you, friend. Cheers. And I woke up this morning and also have nothing to do. Like, I still didn't have puddles. The gym was closed. I am all sorts of out of whack right now. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't write a to-do list down. I really need to clean my house and mow the lawn. But like, here we are. So this will be up later than usual on a Sunday. But I did want to come on here for probably a much shorter clip than usual. Because in meeting Alex yesterday, we had talked about this very briefly. And I felt inspired to tell a little bit of a story for anyone here with the goal of just reaffirming you are the number one person in charge of your primary care. Whether you have a chronic illness or not, you make the final decisions, you make the final calls. And I am going to say that until the end of time. If your neurologist, for example, comes back and is like, I want you to try this med, and you don't feel aligned with that med, don't do it. Trust your gut and take ownership of your own care. Something I didn't learn until later in life, which when I first got diagnosed, I was really young and I had so much support from my parents and my family that it wasn't really an issue then. I didn't really pay attention to like the billing and all of the nonsensical testing that has to go on for a chronic illness. And believe me now, I certainly pay attention. Also, shout out to my aunt for fighting the good fight for a ridiculous charge that just will not leave her alone. Crossing my fingers, knocking on wood, that she doesn't get a bill again for a silly amount that we were lamenting over last weekend. But all of that to say, you are the number one person in charge of your health journey. Take ownership of it. Don't feel gaslit by providers like I have been many times before, and just do what's right for you. Okay, all of that to say, it's story time. I need like a rainbow or something. It's story time. And I'll probably unpack 2024 in multiple different layers because my God, was that a bad year. 2024 sucked. It sucked. There was so much good laced in it too. Like, I'm always going to say that. I'm never going to discredit that. But oh my God, did that year suck for everyone I knew. But how it started for me. Take a seat. Take a seat. Get a hot beverage. Sit down in front of me. You can't sit with me in this setup right now, but I'm going to pretend that you can. Let's have a palaver and a sip. So, January of 2024, I'm alive and I'm not thriving, but I'm okay. My symptoms are, they're not flatlining. They're kind of doing this. Things are getting a little weird. It's fine. It's not great. Only because I was unmedicated at the beginning of 2024. Because I had tried Mavenclad, which, happy to answer questions about this and talk about my experience. It was a really unique experience. I still am a fan of the drug. I think it's immaculate. I think it's amazing. It works really, really well. High success rates for a lot of folks for a really non-invasive option. Try it if it's on the table for you. Seriously. Like, it's super easy and didn't take a lot of effort and also made me really optimistic. It's probably why I feel the way I do now, because it was such a crash and burn at the end of all of this. So I had completed my 2 cycles of Mavenclad and I was feeling okay. I didn't feel awful, but I was experiencing optic neuritis symptoms where, for me specifically, because there are 2 different categories here for vision symptoms, and I'm sure there's other ones too, but the only ones that I personally am familiar with is optic neuritis and diplopia. What those 2 things are. Optic neuritis is just issues with the eyeballs, like you are having vision issues. I definitely experienced this before I was officially diagnosed too, where like I would read a sign, but my eyes couldn't focus on what I was looking at, where I could still read it, but it was weird. I was like, this is not normal. But it also can be incredibly painful. So for me specifically, when I experience optic neuritis, I knew I'm getting an onset because right here hurts to a degree that is inexplicable. Like, I don't even know how to explain this, but I sleep with an eye mask because I'm bougie and I don't have blackout shades, and I love my eye mask. It is Starry Night. It's silky. I recommend everybody sleep with one if you don't. But I would have that on my eyeballs to the tightest setting, and I got a tiny head. And to relieve the pressure that was occurring here and like in the back of my eye, and it just nothing helped. Not to scare you. And that was a bummer. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm having eye symptoms. So like I was in conversations with my neurologist, who I have since fired since 2024. And I was just saying, I was like, yeah, like I feel mostly okay, but I'm having a lot of eye symptoms, which scares me. There's something since my diagnosis that has always kind of been looming over my head, and I'm sure many of you, is the potential to wake up in the morning one day and not be able to see, or not be able to smell, and just losing one of my senses, my eyes being the most frightening for me, just because I love the world. And while I am pretty blind, I've got a negative -3 in this eye and a -5.25 in this eye in my contact prescription, which hasn't changed. Through all of these vision issues, my prescription has remained the same for at least the last 3 years. I'm really happy about that. I'm excited. But with that, a new test that I have to get every single year because of these issues is a non-invasive optic nerve scan during my standard optometrist exam, which I love my optometrist. Dr. Eisner, he's in the Walmart office, and I have insurance now that actually would be better for me to use, but I just love that office so deeply that I'm like, no, if you're willing to scan my optic nerve for free and make it not a problem, I'll keep coming here. Shout out to you, Dr. Eisner, if you ever see this. So I was experiencing optic neuritis symptoms in this eye since the year prior, on and off. It's not consistent. It's not all the time, but I can personally say that stress very much brings on these kinds of onset symptoms for me personally. So that's happening. I feel good. I'm I finished Mavenclad. I can't wait for my next MRI. And I get that MRI, and my neurologist at the time calls me, and I'm going to tell you verbatim what he said. And it was just, I've never seen a patient fail so fast on this medication. You are the first. To which I responded, I love being the first at these things. What do we do now? What does that mean? And he was like, well, I had to ask 6 other colleagues of mine to make sure, which that made me feel super confident. That made me feel really confident. This also was a neurologist where my neurologist I started seeing here, it's going to be 8 years in June. She gave me to her NP, who I think I've mentioned before, who put me on Mavenclad, and I loved her. She was great. Reassigned to the hospital. Saw somebody else reassigned automatically, reassigned to the hospital. Saw my neurologist again. She was the one that called me when she was like, LOL, you have lesions even though you just ran a 5K this morning. Really liked her. Reassigned to the hospital. What I don't like about this process here, I don't know if this goes for other hospital networks, they never asked me if I wanted to be referred to somebody else. They just put me in someone else's care. And that is how I ended up with this guy, who I didn't love that much. And so he tells me I'm the first use case he's ever seen fail as fast as I did, which that didn't feel so good. But okay, so what do we do now? And his suggestion was to try again. A 3rd round of Mavenclad. If you are unfamiliar with Mavenclad, it is most data and information we have on the success of this med is actually over in Europe. They use it all the time. They've got a bunch of information across the world. The US of A doesn't have as much data over here, but I was going off of the European data that's very successful. And the data that we do have here, also very successful. I think the last I looked, it was between 76 to 83% success rate. It was high enough that I was willing to bargain. So he recommends I do a 3rd dose. Things I wish I knew then that I will tell you explicitly right now if this is ever offered to you, for any drugs, by the way, for any DMTs, high level medications, this is probably a thing in the USA. Mavenclad was only approved for the first 2 years of use, which is a standard Mavenclad dose. It is not FDA approved beyond that. What that meant for me, because as a prior sports nutritionist, FDA regulations are hit or miss. I don't necessarily bow down oh my God, it's not FDA approved, it's not safe. It's not that. As much as what I learned is because of these regulations in place, I legally could not speak to any nursing staff about Mavenclad, which my last dose of was the year before. Sorry if I'm messing these timelines up. I should have written this down beforehand. It had been enough time, though, that I'm this had very specific rules. Like, you can't take other medications or vitamins, even like oral. You couldn't take anything orally within a certain window before taking the Mavenclad. And I was like, I don't remember that. I would love like another walkthrough on how to do this if we're going to do this. And not a single person could tell me anything, because I called my first nurse. Bless you, Virginia. You ghosted me, which I didn't love. I wish that you called me back and you were like, hey, I legally can't talk to you because of XYZ. So I'm like, okay, that person's not answering me. And then I called the manufacturer of the drug, and it was like, do you need to speak to a pharmacist or a nurse? I was like, yes. And when I got on the phone, that's when I learned. They were like, we can't legally talk to you about this. Like, you're on your own. Bless me for keeping my first box of Mavenclad ever that I took notes on the box. I don't know why I even still have this thing, because I've moved twice since then. It's like, why did I still have it? I don't know, but it was meant to be. So by my own hand, because when I asked my neurologist questions, he was like, I don't know. You're the first person I've had like taking Mavenclad. There's not a lot of people here that have really taken it. So I just was like, okay. Gonna self-rely on this one. Took round 3. It didn't hurt me. That's not the problem I have with it. It was fine. It was whatever. It just didn't do anything for me. So now I took this drug. I felt great on it for the first 2 years I was taking it. And then I started to decline. And then he recommended the 3rd round. So as I'm taking this for a 3rd time, I'm declining still rapidly. So I take it and we get scans again, and there's no improvement whatsoever. And this is the story time I wanted to sit down with you all about today, where in the office visit follow-up with this person at this point where I'm like, my eye is in so much pain. I don't know what's going on. I'm having focus issues occasionally again. Like, what is happening to me? And this man had the audacity to look me in the eye and say, we need to figure out an alternative medication for you to try, because at the rate that you are progressing, you are either going to be gravity chair bound, which a gravity chair is the type where you are laying completely flat. If you're familiar with Dr. Walls, if not, look her up. Or you're going to be dead in 10 years. MS is a chronic illness. It is not terminal. For a practitioner to ever say something like that to a patient, it really lit my fire. And clearly still does, to a degree that's like, if you ever have a doctor who is in this realm an authority figure that you're trusting with your care and to make good decisions on your behalf, if you ever have someone look you in the eye and tell you you're going to die as a chronic illness patient, fire them. Which is what I did after hearing that, spiraling hard for a while, and then having my first run-in with true diplopia. So to bring us back, I started with optic neuritis with eye pain here and some weird things happening. That transitioned to full-on diplopia on a day where I was back to work and I had a dental appointment. And I was like, you know what? The dentist is closer to my job at the time. At that time in my life, I was living an hour and 10 minutes away from everything. I was very far away from civilization. Great. But I was like, it's closer to work. I'm going to go into the office and then go to my appointment and then go home. That was my plan. And driving to work, something was very wrong. Because my commute at that time, I'm trying to remember now, a lot of back roads, and then it turns into Highway 64. And when I hit Highway 64, thank God it wasn't in the back roads, the left-hand yellow line on the highway was there, but it was also over here. I had full-blown double vision. as I'm driving my car, and Highway 64 is a 70 mile an hour speed limit. As I'm driving my car at 70 miles an hour plus, I'm seeing double. And I thank myself every day for the human that I am after living with this for so long. I don't have a panic response anymore. I'm usually just like, huh, that's weird. I learned very quickly that if I drove with one eye open, everything kind of recentered back to normal. So I kind of just like functioned this way. And I pulled into the parking lot of my job and I had a breakdown. I was so scared. I was so scared. I was like, what is happening? What was that? What the is happening? And I like politely like dabbled my tears away and then took a meeting. And then I went to the dentist, also like that still. And it was after the dentist that was the true test, because then I had to go all the way back home on Highway 64 and those back roads. And it didn't get better. Like I wanted to exist with my eyes closed because the world was making me want to throw up. And I was so grateful I had lived where I was living for as long as I did, because I want to say I drove a lot of those back roads slowly. I got stuck behind a logging truck, which was such a blessing. I was doing like maybe 10 miles an hour the whole way home. Yay, in that instance. It was really helpful. But I want to say that like I did most of that with my eyes closed, because I didn't know what else to do, and doing this for too long started making this eye start getting optic neuritis. Like everything just started coming out. And I remember pulling in the driveway, getting in the house, texting my sister that I had made it and that I was having some crazy vision issues and she's on speed dial, and then just having a full blown breakdown of just like, what is happening? Because I was home at that point and I was like, I don't have to look pretty anymore. And I canceled all my meetings the rest of the day and was like, I cannot think about anything else right now but this. So I started a massive decline when it came to my vision symptoms. And for me, I hadn't really had vision symptoms except for my initial diagnosis with the can't focus on things. Even in this moment right now, vision symptoms are the scariest out of anything that I've ever experienced. The thought and almost losing my vision during this period of time, I won't forget that feeling ever. I will never forget that feeling. And I've changed how I live based on these things, where like I have an iPhone and I don't like Siri. I'm like, don't talk to me. Don't listen to the things that I'm saying, even though they totally are anyway, even if it's off. But I had to engage Siri. And at the time, my parents hadn't lived here, but like my sister's on speed dial still, where it's like if I hit my phone a certain way, it will call her for me. Thank God. But yeah, so I'm having optic neuritis. I'm having double vision. I kept making jokes, and shout out to anybody that knows how to embroider. I'm in the market for an eye patch that's black and has the Dark Side of the Moon logo on it. Please, somebody give me a Dark Side of the Moon pirate patch. I would love you forever for these use cases, because that did fix it, where it's like if you single eye it, it brought everything back together. And people make fun of me all the time, but even putting pressure here, it brings things into focus tremendously better for me. So like I lived my life like this for months. 2024 was that. And it was during that period of time where I look back in hindsight, 2020 is a bitch. Because it's like I was dealing with the scariest health crisis of my life since my diagnosis. It had been years since I was this scared. And at the same time, I chose to get married and buy my house with my then partner during this period of time, as like we went to look at this house and I'm like looking around like, yeah, this looks good to me. But like it felt right. I still love that house. I digress. But I chose to do a lot of life's hardest things at the same time as having the hardest health crisis in over in like a decade for me. 10 out of 10, don't recommend. If you're having a health crisis, deal with that first before making any other crazy decisions. Otherwise, you'll end up on the crazy path that I have. But 2024 started with someone telling me I was going to die if I didn't do something about my symptoms. And then what he told me to do about my symptoms was the wrong thing to do. And then from there, it just was, that was the hardest year I've had in a really long time. And I know a lot of folks I know can say the same about 2024. May it burn in hell. Where looking at then to where I am now, what a difference in so many things. Where like 2024 also was when my mood swings hit a point of no return, where I was like, I hit that moment of, if I don't do something about this soon, I'm going to lose everything in a flaming pile of fire and caca. Like, it was not great. To a degree that, like, when I was still living with my partner, I would walk in the room and he'd just be playing video games on like a Thursday night, which I loved. I was like, yeah, man, like, you don't have to be doing things all the time. We're human beings, not human doings. Like, go sit down and enjoy your life. And I was making dinner. And I'll never forget this either. I walked in and I was like, do you want garlic with that? And he's like, yeah, that sounds really good. And I went back in the kitchen. When I came back in that room, it was literally like, I'm going to kill myself. I don't want to live anymore. I just want to die. Like, it was as fast as a light switch. And I don't want to get banned off YouTube for saying stuff like that. But like, amidst all of this in 2024, the amount of times I like half tried, not great. And a lot of folks that have chronic illnesses experience this all the time. And I see you where it's just, you wake up in the morning and you can't even fathom getting out of bed or trying. You don't even want to try anymore when you hit points like that. And it's just like, you're at your lowest. And I see you. I see you, friends. And what you're feeling is valid. But it gets better. I promise. Like everything else that I say on this channel, it's a choice to a degree. Sometimes it's not necessarily a choice, and there are things that have to be introduced to make it better. Medications, I'm not anti-medication. Anything that's going to quell, I call it the gargoyle, that sits on your shoulder, that's just whispering nonsense to you. It's not fun. So 2024 started with being told, like, I'm going to die and I have to do all these things. And it felt pretty hopeless at that stage. And I am a true believer in the spiritual side of house, and aligned intervention is what I'll call it, in the sense where, like, my buddy Alex that I mentioned earlier was actually the person that reached out, and my friend Kelly, because our journey is very coinciding. It's very fun. The two of them had reached out to me via Instagram, and they were just like, have you heard of Ocrevus? And at that stage, I was really anti-infusion because of my traumatic experiences with Solumedrol. Awful. My body does not like infusions. You can take my blood, you can take things out of me, but like putting things in me, it doesn't like. I have little itty bitty veins. And I was so resistant, but it was in that moment that I was just like, you know what? What is left to lose? So thank you, Alex and Kelly, for leading me here, where Ocrevus, as I've said many times before, going really, really well. The mindset shift I've experienced over the last 2 years, I can't even begin to describe. And I'm really grateful to be where I am, and also to have experienced and lived this, because the juxtaposition is everything in life, where it's like, if I didn't experience that, how could I experience the insurmountable amount of gratitude and joy that I have every single day now, because I've been there. So it's one of those things. And bringing it all the way back to the beginning of this now long tale, it's a 30-minute video. It was supposed to be like 14. Always, always, always trust yourself before you trust anyone else when it comes to your health and honestly anything else. But healthcare decisions, you are the ultimate source of truth and wisdom, and you know yourself better than anybody else. You're living in your body. You know what's going to work for you and what's not. And if you don't know, then you're willing to try sometimes, but it just depends. Never let anyone doom you or give you a horrible consensus without asking a bunch of follow-up questions. I didn't at the time. I was just like, oh my God, this is my fate and it's all over from this point on. And that wasn't true, not at all. And just doing your own research too, really important. Where like I started Mavenclad, for example, and I spent days reading about it, and it wasn't easy because there's not a lot of research in the USA. But had a great. I love you, Erica Davis. She was great, and I would call her, and she would just be like, "Oh, here's back-end database information. This isn't broadly known, but like here's more," and just trying to be a sponge to as much information out there available to me as humanly possible, where it just this, and even the information that's out there, people don't even know. People don't know. No one knows what causes MS, for example, and no one knows if it's curable or not, which is why I am so convinced that everything is energy, energetically. And the mind is so powerful. I'm gonna fix it. I feel like this is gonna happen in every one of these videos where I'm just like, it's gonna happen. I feel so passionate about this because I don't want anyone else to ever have to experience what I have. And I know so many people who have experienced so much worse. And it makes me feel very passionate on the inside, clearly. Okay, I'm gonna quell the fires within me, although the passion is well placed. I think this feels so important to me because I'm tired of looking at myself like a cozy dumpster fire. Okay, but that is a good synopsis of why I talk about 2024, and it's got this like black cloud over it. And that experience just, it transformed the way that I live my life and the way that I approach everything, especially in my medical journey, where just that was unacceptable. I would never accept that again. And thankfully that also led me, shout out to my friend Liz, who I've mentioned before too, but she recommended my now neurologist, and I love this man. I love him so deeply. I'm so happy. I hate the parking situation, but I'm willing to deal with that for the level of care that I am now receiving. So as you traverse through the thorny thickets of just slop and mud and everything in between, you will come out the other side. A little bruised, a little bloody, but the horizon is there. I'm picturing the sunlight on the top of a mountain and the beautiful ocean sparkling beneath. You will get through it, even if it feels impossible right now. And it's going to be okay. And you're not alone. If you are here watching this video with me right now, you're not alone. And I do genuinely very much believe in you. I'm not just saying that. The people I've had the pleasure of meeting on this journey are the most incredible, badass humans on the planet Earth, and they inspire me to try to show up as my best self every single day. Many of them who I've never met in person. And the fact that I've gotten to lay eyes on so many of these folks in the last year, like 6 months to a year, I am ecstatic. I'm elated. And it's just like, oh my God. The fact that the internet has given me these incredible relationships that have been, and now it's like, you're a real person. Or it's just like Kelly specifically, so important to me and close to my heart. And then getting to meet her and her children, it really brightens my day to think about it. But this has gone on long enough. thank you for dealing with my crazy filming. I don't have the microphone today, so we'll see if we like the sound or whatever is going on. But onward and upward to mowing my lawn in this windy, sunny day and just saying thank you for a new day. The light in me sees the light in you. Have the most wonderful of Sundays. Cheers to all of you lovely little pistachios. I love you all so much. Thank you for listening to my tale today. Have a great day.